All right, seeing that it's actually a couple minutes after 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the November 7th, 2016 City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Barnett?
Present.
Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Abbott? Mr. Alt?
Here.
Mr. Eggers?
Here.
Mr. Fox?
Here.
Mr. Woods?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Invocation of pledge, if you would, please, Mr. Works.
Bow our heads. Father, be with our military around the world as they protect our freedoms. Be with our election and allow a good, positive outcome for our country. Be with our fire and police as they do their job to protect the citizens of Franklin. Be with our city employees who make for an awesome city. Allow us to handle the business before us in the best of our ability. And thank you for the Cubs and Colts.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements, public comments? Hearing none, going to consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve minutes from October 17th. Second.
Motion by Barnett, second by Austin. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have no old business, new business.
Make a motion to read all other new business by title only.
Second.
Motion by Barnett, second by Eggers. All those in favor?
Aye.
First item is Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 1610, a resolution authorizing a transfer from Police 300 Services to Police 200 Supplies in the amount of $10,000. And as he's approaching, this is a resolution, so if you so choose, you can act upon this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. The purpose of my request is, as he stated, to transfer $10,000 from 300 to 200 supplies, and this will be necessary to pay our expenditures for the remainder of this fiscal year.
This is just a transfer, not asking for a new.
Move to approve Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 1610.
Second.
Motion by Eggers, second by Wertz. Any comments, questions?
Chief, just for overtime or?
No, it's not for overtime, it's for different equipment such as radios. It's for things out of the 200 series. You're welcome, thank you.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item, if you will allow me, they're actually reversed. Do you remember when we hear tax abatements and certain things, it actually needs to go in reverse order, am I correct in saying that? So it was,
It looks like it was changed on the agenda.
oh, it was, okay.
So
The agenda I had was I printed off this morning and I reversed it
So-
on my sheet.
So resolution 1618 needs to go before 1616.
Gotcha. So the first item on the agenda, and I'll read off my screen as opposed to the sheet, is Common Council Resolution number 1618, a resolution setting forth final action in determining an economic revitalization area and confirming Resolution 2015 of October 17, 2016. This is EDC case 2016-05, Urban Era of Indiana LLC. Ms. Lindy.
So if you recall from your last meeting, this is a designation of 1172 North Main Street, which is the former Marsh location. This is a designation as an economic revitalization area. This would allow the property to be eligible for tax abatement. So it was the resolution 1615 was approved and introduced on October 17th, and then it's been public notice has gone in. And then needs to be a public hearing tonight for this, and then once this is approved, we can actually act on a separate resolution, which is the tax abatement itself. So this is the confirming resolution designating the economic revitalization area.
So again, this is an action item on the agenda. It is, I will open it up for public comments. Hearing none, we'll close public comment. Any council comments? Questions?
Yes. Chris, do they own the building?
No.
It's a lease?
Mhm.
So who's receiving the tax rate?
Keep in mind, this is, the first item that we're taking action on is just declaring that
Oh, okay,
area the economic
okay.
revitalization area.
Okay. Sorry.
I move for approval of common council resolution number 16-18.
Second.
Motion by Fox, second by Austin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, the next item is common council resolution number 1616, a resolution authorizing the approval of tax abatement for reuse of an eligible vacant building. India, EDC case 2016-05, Urban Air Indiana LLC. Ms. Lincoln.
So this was a recommendation from your Economic Development Commission for a 3-year property tax abatement. This is a vacant building deduction, so that's different than a real property abatement. So this would be all of the property taxes up to 100%. That was the recommendation from the Economic Development Commission. This for 3 years at 100%. This would be, however, tied to the tenant, which would be Urban Air Indiana. And so on that SB1 form, their information of the investment being made, the jobs that are created, and the salaries are tied to Urban Air. So every year at compliance of the abatement, we would be working with the actual tenant to make sure that they're in compliance with the granting of the tax abatement. But technically, the abatement would be going through to the property owner. That is how abatements are required to legally work. But they are working on an agreement with the property owner to where they would receive that advantage through their lease agreement, and they can answer any questions. I don't know the specifics of that agreement, but that is my understanding of how this would work. And we've done this previously. We did this with True Blood Oil when they occupied the building that Electrospec moved out of. We did the same thing there. It was a lease arrangement as well. And every year at compliance, True Blood Oil actually submits the compliance reports to me with their salaries and their employment information. And we check those yearly for compliance, and this would be the same situation.
And it will reflect on your lease payment, correct? Mayor?
Yeah. So you should have a copy of the SB1 form. It's a state form. It says Statement of Benefits, Vacant Building Deduction. It looks like this. And then on there, it has Franklin LLC as the building owner, but it's for the benefit of Urban Air, who's the leasee. The information there, the number of employees and the salaries, along with the real estate improvements, those are all improvements being made by Urban Air to property owned by Franklin LLC. And so this is Tim Conrad representing Nicole Raines, and we've been working on a lease agreement with the property owner.
Yeah, like I said, Tim Conrad. It's a standard triple net lease, so the economics of it is the property tax payments flow to Urban Air.
Yeah, and I guess where I'm going with this, we want to hear, obviously, to do that. Say something happens and you don't go there, or something else comes in, they have to start over, correct?
The abatement goes away, right?
The abatement will be granted to the building owner for the specific benefit of Urban Air.
Okay. And it's a three-year abatement, is that correct?
That's the recommendation, is
Oh.
3-year at 100%. So if for whatever reason they aren't able to reach an agreement with the property owner, any new tenant would have to come back in and go through the process again.
And Krista, I asked you a question today about paving the lot. Is that part of,
That's not part of this request, but we've had discussion. They have an estimate from a contractor for repaving that lot, and we need to get that on the agenda for the redevelopment commission. That's going to be a request to the redevelopment commission.
Thank you.
Krista, this is listed under new business, and it's a resolution, so we can pass it tonight,
Yes.
but on a tax abatement, haven't we always gone with two?
Well, we just did so at your October meeting, we did the introduction, the declaratory, and then we just passed the confirming. And then we used to combine them, and we've just separated them out. They're just easier to track when the ERA is separate from the actual abatement.
Okay, so this was listed publicly as a public meeting for remonstration
It
purposes?
doesn't have to be, but you can. So the resolution that you just approved, the confirming ERA, that was a public hearing, that has to be.
Right.
This does not, but we typically, even at the EDC, we allow public comment, and it is posted that way.
I asked a question too last time,
It doesn't sound right.
because it's not the way we used to do it, but that, it was the ERA.
Yeah,
That has to be public, and I looked it up too, Councilman, because we used to combine them.
Right.
So they did the ERA and the resolution all at one time, and that's why it seemed like it needed to go through, but technically the statute was, I looked at it too.
So
The ERA.
the way we used to do it, there would just be two resolutions. There would be the declaratory that we did at our last meeting, and then the next resolution would have the confirming resolution and the tax abatement. So we've just separated that out.
Okay, I'm sure it's all good, but
Yeah.
it just sounded weird to me.
Lynn likes for me to write extra resolutions.
No, I like to be able to.
I'm teasing you. They are easier to track, actually.
Well,
Because the abatements expire, but the ERAs typically
Do not. So let's assume, I'm not jinxing you, but let's assume something were to happen to urban air, and the abatement that they are getting is tied to urban air.
Right.
But if somebody else came in, we don't have to go through and designate the ERA again,
Right.
It's
because
just
it's
one
already
year.
done. And so it makes more sense to me to be able to track those separately rather than having it one.
Okay.
And it is because sometimes it's confusing with the ERA. Do you use the first number of the resolution or the confirming resolution number? And this way, it's just the tax abatement number, and it's more straightforward that way.
Well, the way it was listed on the agenda.
Well, I reversed the number of the resolutions. That was my fault. I should have, the confirming should have been 1616, and then the abatement should have been 1618.
All
So.
right, thank you.
And those buildings are tied together, it just contains the one area.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and that's the way the legal description is written for just that, with the address of 1172, not the entire complex.
Chris, is the question I started to ask before. So on a triple net, did they start paying the full taxes as a pass-through after 3 years? So there's a 3-year, but 100%, and then the taxes
That's right.
flow through on a triple net.
Well, and to kind of clarify that too, so taxes are paid a year in arrears, so they will pay taxes their first year, but it will be for 2016. And then once they occupy, that's typically how, because the assessed value doesn't go up until the improvements have been made. So they aren't going to want to waste their first year of 100% abatement on the prior year's assessed value. They're going to want to use the abatement on the new increased assessed value.
Gotcha.
So it's really, while it's 3 years, there's going to be 4 years of taxes, and they're going to pay the first year. The next 3 years will be 100% abated.
Thank you.
I'll open up for public comment, questions. Hearing none, comment. Any other council comments, questions?
Mayor, I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Austin, second by Fox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is common council budgetary ordinance number 1620, a budgetary ordinance authorizing an additional appropriation to transfer from general fund to Fire 100, series salaries and wages for overtime and Medicare in the amount of $36,000. Chief, happy to.
Yes, we like to kind of ask the council for an additional $36,000 to be put in the overtime salary line item, which would also would cover our overtime and Medicare.
Go ahead. Well, could you just walk through basically some of the discussions that we've had? I think you explained it perfectly. And I think it just made total sense. So could you elaborate on your employee count and your loss of employees, et cetera, which justifies this number?
Yes. We did have 3 employees leave this year. We had a firefighter at the beginning of the year, they retired after 28 years of service. And we had 2 additional firefighters that left around the July time. Both those guys were around that 10-year mark, 10 to 12-year mark. They took additional employment at Bartlesville and White River. So to square up with them, it was $44,490.49. And what I mean by squaring up with, that's paying them any unused vacation, sick, comp time, and severance pay. So honestly, if it wasn't for us taking my $44,000 out of my overtime budget, I wouldn't be here tonight.
So those are hard to look into a crystal ball and determine who's gonna leave your force after 15 years. It's difficult to do it, so.
Yes, to, predict someone leaving mid-range, it's hard to guess. The people we know that are leaving, the fire department has a thing called the drop line. It could be a 1, 2, or 3 year. These are people that have achieved 20 years of service on, and then what they can do is say, hey, I want to enter the drop. And basically what it does is it locks your pension in. You stay on for another 1, 2, 3 years. And for instance, firefighter Schlangen just entered into it. Art will actually leave in 2019. His pension's froze, and it's a combination where the money goes and all that.
Sure.
So I know, unless, now you can cancel out a drop plan. You can drop it as a one-time deal. So his goal is to walk out of here in 2019. So we can project in 2019 what Art's payout may be.
Sure.
But, for the guys who are just gonna up and leave out of the blue, it's kind of hard to guess that.
Ours will be way over 44,000. Sorry, Art. I'm teasing. I didn't say it, Art. I'm teasing.
For instance, next year, we do have 2 gentlemen, Deputy Chief Jim Reese and Captain Lashbrook, Richard Lashbrook, are both in the drop line. Now, these guys have well over 32 years on. So, to be honest, we have another firefighter, Leo Capolet, who will get his 20 years in March. You remember, he's gonna retire, not in the drop line. So we can't count Leo, but we knew Rich and Deputy Chief Reese plan on leaving next year.
Does every fire department have big buyouts like that, or is that something we created, or? I mean, that's fine.
We kind of did some quick study today, and one instance, we came up with unused vacation, unused sick time. Some departments will let someone accumulate 720 hours of sick, or 1,440 hours of sick, and pay these guys ultimately. Severance pays are, I'd have to honestly do research on that to see if severance pays are there. Comp time, which would, since we don't get paid overtime to a certain rate, unused vacation is something else they'd have to square up with the person when they left.
I may be talking about something I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's why we're having a conversation. For an example, like sick time, can't you pay that as we go instead of building it up? I mean, how does that work?
For the fire service, for here at Franklin, we can accumulate up to 600 hours of sick. Now, that's if you never call in sick. It's gonna take you about 9 years to accumulate that. Now, of course, if you sick, you burn it. We get 72 hours a year, which, by us working a 24-hour shift, that's basically gives us 3 times to call in sick in a year. Now, I know we work 110, 120 days a year, but still, think about it, 3 times is all you can call in sick. And sick is not just for Dan himself. My son's sick or something, we kind of extend that sick out for take care of a wife and take care of a child. That one kid, your kid can't go to school, and I got to run a 6 day, I got to take care of the kid.
So you get the sick days and you come to work and you accumulate those days.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. And now, of course, we get 72 a year, and if you burn all 72 hours or 3 days, every January we get 72 more hours. And you can keep building that until you cap out at 600. And then once you cap out at 6, it never goes any higher. Now, I did an average of all 48 of us. And if we average out sick time, it's about 131 hours per person, or about 8 24-hour shifts. So on average, I only have, you do the average, 8 24-hour shifts at home.
So there's, like on the top line, is there something you can do to pay as you go instead of having to do anything at the end?
One thing we did on comp is, when I got in the front office this year, we established a new rule, when a guy can earn comp time. You know, a lot of farmers came up and said, hey, I got this bank of maybe 200 hours or 400. Once you receive over 480 hours of accumulated comp, you start getting paid overtime. But we have guys that may have 50 hours, they may have 100 hours. And they go, hey Dan, I want to take 24 hours like comp. So we worked with the rules and regs, and we extended it out to accommodate, as long as we don't go below minimum staffing. Firefighter A could take 10 hours, he could take 24. So the more I can burn up through the year, is less we're gonna have to cash out when these firemen leave. And I would be guessing how many hours, we're probably well over 100, if not 200 additional hours that firemen burned up this year by extending that out.
Chief, is your situation, this 600 hours, this 480 hours, this buyout plan, do you know of any other departments locally around the area that have something similar?
I believe 480 that's just that federal guideline we fall under when it comes to overtime.
What about the 600?
Like I said, we know some departments have 720 hours, that was White River. Bartlesville can have 1,440 hours they can accumulate. Carmel, 720. Noblesville's 1,344. Pike and Sugar Creek are both at 720. And we called Deputy Chief Brad Coy and get a response back from Brad to see what he can bring from his new. So other departments have, 120 plus more hours they can accumulate.
Do they pay those out at the end as well?
I'll be honest, what we was researching today is there are some step plans. 0 to 5, 5-year veteran, whatever you accumulate, you walk away with nothing. Maybe 5 to 10, it's paid out this percent. 10 to 15, it's this percent. 20, whatever you have, 20 plus, you walk away with it.
So tonight, this is an ordinance, it is for introduction only. Sorry, I probably said it too far away from the microphone. This is an introduction only, so it'll be back in front of you at the next meeting on November the 21st. All right, yeah. For a vote, public hearing and action. Anybody want any other questions?
So, Mayor, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they're already in the hole, and we still have another almost 2 months with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holidays, is that right? If not more. So we have Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day after.
And there's a chance that Christmas Eve and Christmas may fall into the 2017 pay period.
So, there's no way of getting around this, the need for additional dollars to get us through the end of the year. The root of the problem is what you gentlemen have been conversing about. And, we had a situation where we had 3 firefighters leave in 2016 and $44-ish thousand had to be paid out. Obviously, the request is for 36, so if those didn't occur, quick math tells me we're $8,000 are good, if that's the situation. So, unfortunately, you can't budget or predict when firefighters are going to leave and go to IFB or Barbersville or wherever they're going to go. You can a little bit more with the drop, but then again, you have some firefighters that they just retire, they don't enter the drop. So you don't know in July and August when we're putting together the budget for next year, you don't know. So it's pretty tough.
So the ones that left, that were lined out here, are they 20-year veterans or 15, 10? You're talking about the stair step.
They were around the 10 to 12 year mark. But anyway. And I'd like to add too is I've had, been fortunate on bereavement leave. You know, as we grow older, our parents grow, you know, our grandpas and grandpas. You know, and, you know, usually when someone's on bereavement, that causes a, so I've been blessed this year not to have somebody bereavement leave. But I've had 4 firemen off on some major medical this year. So there's been 13 months. So well over a year, if we had all those 4 firemen, when they were offered different surgeries. Again, that's a below your overtime budget, where you're trying to, you know, you're fighting that minimum staffing, and they already got one guy on medical. So then I gotta call somebody in.
I was just wondering if there's some way we could come up with a way to still pay, but not do it all at once. Like
I don't know if there'd be a way to, when it comes to our 40, with the way the hours that we work, 96 one week and 120, you know, the way the pay works is we're not that 40-hour guy that he works 41 hours each week, we can pay him overtime. You know, could we start paying people immediately overtime? If we could do that, I'm paying it now instead of banking it. But if I can bank it and let these guys use it, does it even itself out over the years? It's kind of yeah, I'm gonna pay Joe Blow right now because he worked an extra 4 hours this week. But if I let him bank it with the intent that when he gets 8 hours in there, he says, hey, I need off from a baseball game. Or something like that. So then we break even, we don't have to pay him out.
But when you start banking overtime, then you start getting into some fairly issues and there are new changes and when you have to pay them for a certain period of time.
And to be honest, it slowed down. When I hired on 10 years ago, I went to Firefighter 1 school and EMT school. And by me going to school, anytime I went off duty, that accumulated my overtime. Now, since these guys come on already firemen and EMT, we're not paying for that. So they're earning it at a slower rate. These guys that we're paying out, just by being those 10-year, 15-year veterans, let's see what Thomas was. Sean had 78 hours. Comp time. Sean probably had about a 10-year veteran. So to accumulate 78 hours in 10 years, I mean, that's not a whole bunch. Right. Mike Craig, our 28-year veteran, he did walk with 414 hours. So for a 28-year career, they earned that. Todd Bridges was that 12-year guy. Todd did have a lot, 475. But also we're doing is we're slowing down the way guys can earn it. So it helps a little bit.
Again, introduction. I mean, we can obviously continue on a conversation, but this specific ordinance it is set for introduction, so it'll be set for the next meeting in a couple of weeks for public hearing and action.
Thank you.
Next item is Common Council Ordinance number 1612, an ordinance creating the local road and bridge matching grant fund.
Yes, please.
Community Crossings Grant.
Correct. And I need your authority your approval to create a fund for that. This is the first part of it. There are 3 parts tonight.
Right, so the next 2 items, this is for introduction only. A few gentlemen recall several weeks ago, we were awarded a $1 million grant from Indiana Department of Transportation for the Community Crossings Grant Program. That was set forth by the governor and the legislators for this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they're going to do it again next year. I think a lot of that will be determined tomorrow. on going forward with any additional grant funds. But we were blessed to receive the maximum of up to $1 million. So these next three introductions are no additional dollars, just setting up the fund for Treasurer's Office, and so we have a place to put these dollars that are actually being used right now in various locations throughout the state.
Do we need this?
We can't move forward, we can't budget.
You can, the next one's a resolution, but it's
You
not-
might as well, yeah, just do them all at the same time.
It's not a big-
Create the fund before you.
Well, I just didn't know if time is of the essence on these.
We're fine in 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay.
So that one has been introduced. The next one is Common Council Budgetary Resolution number 1609, a budgetary resolution authorizing a transfer from Fund 257 Lowett Special Distribution to Fund 258 Local Road and Bridge Matching Grant Fund in the amount of $1 million. Obviously, that fund has not been established yet. It will be in a couple of weeks. It is a resolution, you can't take action, but that fund hasn't been established, so I would urge you all to outline in a couple of weeks. The next is Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1621, an additional appropriation for the Local Road and Bridge Matching Grant Fund in the amount of $1 million. These are introduction. Be more than happy to answer any questions from you all, but you will see it again in 2 weeks from this evening.
One on the resolution, because it is actual, do I need to table that?
Yes.
Move to table Common Council Budgetary Ordinance number 1609. I'm sorry, resolution number 1609.
Motion by Eggers, second by Fox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. No other business. We have any council member comments? Oh, hold on. Before I get to that, I do have other business. As I promised a few years ago, and I think you three have it, I'll pass it down that way. The 2017 holiday schedule for the city hall and city staff, city employees is being passed out. Excuse me. You really won't see any much difference other than there's one less holiday for next year as opposed to this year. Reason being is New Year's Eve, 2017. Yes. New Year's Eve 2017 actually falls on a Sunday. And so there is no New Year's Eve holiday for 2017. That's how it's when 2018 rolls around, but so there's 13 holidays as opposed to 14 that we had this year in 2016. So no action, and again, it is just informational purposes only for your records. You would, also, you'll see that if you look at the 2017 schedule in front of you, that both of those first and third Mondays of 2017 are on holidays. Therefore, we would not have a meeting, although I don't think that would be prudent of us, and I'm also not sure that that's legal, that we don't have a meeting in the first month of January. So my suggestion would be, and I'll throw this up for discussion, is to have it on the second Monday. We would just have the one meeting in January. That would be Monday, January 9th, 2017. That's an off day, but I don't know if that works for everyone, or we can look at a different day in the month.
There are 5 Mondays in January 2017, just FYI. If we wanted more than one, if we had some business we had to take care of, we could do the second and fourth, that would still put us 2 weeks in between each meeting.
I know the clerk's office, clerk treasurer's office is going to request at least one, particularly for board of work, so they can pay claims.
Sure.
We have in the past, came in on New Year's Day, when it fell on Monday.
It doesn't, actually.
New Year's Day.
No, it's
New Year's Day is in January, or I think it's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday.
Next year it's on New Year's.
Yes,
It was
2018.
Following Tuesday, the next Tuesday.
So we could do the January
January
3rd.
3rd.
Yeah, January 2nd is the observed holiday, which we do on Monday. So I suggested after conferring with Sharon Barnard from the clerk treasurer's office the 9th, that would give her a few days for preparing claims that came in at the end of the year. That was why I threw out the 9th. I really didn't care.
I'd rather keep it on a Monday, personally. I'll be here regardless.
I just don't want to switch to the second, fourth Monday of every month.
No, I'm just saying just for January.
No, this is just the one meeting in January, so we abide by state statute and
Jane, does this give you time to prepare everything for the Board of Works for the city
Yes.
council?
Would be no different.
We haven't set our schedule for next year, have we? We need to do that soon.
First and third? I don't know that we necessarily need to take me out. I mean, that's just,
We have to publish it,
here's the cliche, that's the way we've always done it. That's
Yeah.
kind of fitting for that.
but we do have to publish our procedures.
Yeah, we have to publish
Do
it.
that.
By December, it's either December 31st. And you know when we have to publish our meetings, we don't, it's either December 31st or January 1st, let's publish our next year meetings. That's when we have our regular schedule. And give it to, notice to anybody who requests that information, like media outlets.
So we have it on the ninth.
Sounds good with me.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Flexible. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have. Council comments? Anyone has anything?
Hey, Mayor, just wanted to tell everybody that my sister-in-law is battling another brain tumor that was removed about 2 weeks ago, and she's in recovery right now, so if you guys could keep her in her prayers, it'd be really appreciated.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Barnett, second by Allison, all in favor?
Aye.